16 inches MacBook Pro 2021, every rumors I've heard on the MacBook Pro 16 inches. Hi guys. This is Chloe. Welcome to my channel. On this channel I give updates on latest leaks, rumors, release dates, and price of new gadgets from all the giant tech companies around the world. Please subscribe to my channel if you are new. Share. Kindly comment the country you are watching from. And don't forget to like this video. I was hoping to see a new 14 inches MacBook Pro at WWDC in June and potentially the 16 inches model alongside it, as well as a new Mac Mini, but the event passed without any mention of new Mac hardware. Instead it focused solely on software, unveiling iOS 15. Regardless of whether Apple ever intended to launch it as the event, the MacBook Pro was a no-show at WWDC, so where does that leave us? When is the new MacBook Pro going to be unveiled? Here is the rumor available to the spec, design, features and more regarding 16 inches MacBook Pro. What can we expect from the 16 inches? The most obvious improvement will be the inclusion of Apple Silicon, either the M1X chip, or perhaps an M2 chip. We can expect a few more new features and changes as well. New Apple processor. 2 of the 13-in MacBook Pro ditched Intel for Apple's own processor line in November 2020, along with the MacBook Air and Mac Mini. The same processor has since made its way into the iMac, a new 24-in model that Apple launched in April 2021. I've seen impressive benchmarks from these M1 processors, but those who use more processor-intensive apps will no doubt be anticipating that something amazing is in the pipeline, and of that I am certain. The 16 inches MacBook Pro has always been targeted at high-end use, with creative pros being the group most likely to be impatiently awaiting the launch of a new, Apple-powered machine. What can we expect from the successor to the M1 that will almost definitely feature in this new MacBook Pro? Apple graphics. The graphics capabilities are another area where these 16-in MacBook Pro will need to improve if they are to be considered truly pro. The current M1 Macs are beating the Intel integrated graphics in tests, but they are generally being left behind by the discrete graphics used in the 16-in MacBook Pro, and the 27-in iMac for that matter. Currently, the 16-in MacBook Pro offers the AMD Radeon Pro 5300M or 5500M with 4GB RAM, or the AMD Radeon Pro 5600M with 8GB RAM. Many will be concerned that the new Silicon 16-in MacBook Pro will lack discrete graphics and will be less appropriate for high-end use as a result of that. Hopefully, there is no need for concern. Reports suggest that Apple is working on a 16-core graphics solution for the successor to the M1. In the May Bloomberg report, Gurman indicates that there will be either 16 or 32 graphics core variations for the new MacBook Pro compared to N7 or 8 graphics cores for the M1. RAM updates. The current M1 Macs ship with 8GB RAM as standard and can be upgraded to 16GB RAM at point of sale. For many creative pros, 8GB or even 16GB doesn't sound like enough RAM, and this has been an area of concern. There are 2 reasons why this shouldn't be a worry for the new MacBook Pro. According to the May Bloomberg report, the chips also include up to 64GB of memory versus a maximum of 16GB on the M1. The other reason why it shouldn't be a concern is the 8GB RAM on the M1 isn't the same as 8GB RAM with an Intel Mac. This is because it is integrated into the M1 chip, alongside the processor and the graphics, which means that tasks don't need to be shunted around as much. Mini-LED screen. Back in 2020, analyst Ming-Chi Kuo suggested that a new 16-in MBP would not arrive until 2021 because Apple wanted to adopt mini-LED screen panels for its Macs, and these mini-LED screens have been suffering from COVID-related delays. These new mini-LED panels offer a rich wide color gamut, as well as high contrast ratios, high dynamic range, and more. Mini-LED should also result in thinner, more power-efficient panels that don't suffer from burn-in, which is an issue with OLED. According to Kuo, the mini-LED screens being used for the 16-in MacBook Pro will have slightly flatter edges like the iPad Pro and the iPhone 12 models. According to a DG Times report at the end of May 2021, Global Lighting Technologies is set to begin production of mini-LED components for Apple's next generation of MacBooks during the third quarter of 2021, which may indicate that they could feature in the next updates. Camera and Face ID. Apple really needs to up its game with this camera, something that has become very apparent in this age of video conferencing. The MacBook Pro still offers a shockingly poor 720p camera. As a comparison, the FaceTime camera, aka selfie camera, on the iPhone 11 range offers 1080p HD video recording and a 12MP camera. Apple has already addressed the FaceTime camera with the 24 inches iMac, so it seems likely we could see a similar update in the new MacBook Pro. We'd also like to see the True Depth camera appear on the MacBook range, enabling Face ID on the Mac. It looks like we might indeed get Face ID on the Mac. The Big Sur beta contains code that hints that the True Depth camera is coming to the Mac. No touch bar. According to the January 2021 investor note from Ming-Chi Kuo, Apple is removing the touch bar from the new MacBook Pro. The physical function buttons will be restored. Kuo went on to reiterate this claim in an investor note in February 2021, so it looks like the touch bar's days are numbered. Alternatively, the new 16 inches MacBook Pro could include an updated touch bar. MagSafe. The return of MagSafe is also predicted for the new MacBook Pro. Both Kuo and a January 2021 Bloomberg report state that Apple will be restoring the MagSafe charging connector, which was popular with people who didn't want their Mac to crash to the ground when they tripped over the power cable. Kuo also suggests that we could see the return of other ports, including the SD card slot and the HDMI port. Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 802.11ax as a Wi-Fi standard is still in its infancy, but it is starting to arrive, and it features on the new 13 inches MacBook Pro and MacBook Air models. It seems a safe bet to expect that it will be available on the new 16 and MacBook Pro. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button and comment the country you are watching from. See you in my next video. 16 inches.